It's sickening to flirt with your grandchild. Old lady living on pension shouldn't get involved except at weddings and funerals.
It was my adorable grandson's 4th birthday. My son's wife, in other words my daughter-in-law, said it in a condescending manner. I had just planned a dinner party to celebrate my only grandson's birthday. In the midst of all this, my daughter-in-law, who usually hates me, finally showed her true colors even in front of my grandson. If you insist that much, I will cut off our relationship as you wish. In exchange, I don't know if you will regret it. I smiled and told her a fact. I am Christopher, 65 years old. Just the other day, my husband of many years passed away. He was 10 years older than me and just celebrated his 70th birthday last month. He originally suffered from a chronic illness, and a few years ago he was told that he did not have long to live. Yet my husband stayed by my side for 2 years longer than he was pronounced. I love him and miss him already, but I am so grateful that he made it to the end. Thankfully, I had inherited some real estate from my father and had rental income from it. Even after my husband became ill and was unable to work, we were able to live without any inconvenience because of that income. And there is another reason why I am able to live a normal life after my husband's death. That is the existence of my 2 sons. The eldest son, William, and the second son, James. They are both married, and William has a 4-year-old son, Brandon. Since my sons live relatively close to me, my loneliness has been eased. My husband's funeral has ended without incident, and my old routine is returning. Then one day, my eldest son, William, and his wife, Tyler, came to visit me at my house. This house is also a family home for William, but he rarely shows up, so I wonders what is going on and asks him, "What's wrong? You haven't contacted me, have you? I've been sorting through your dad's belongings, and the living room is a mess."
I have something important to tell you. It's okay if it's messy.
But, even though Tyler came all this way. And where's Brandon?
Brandon is in kindergarten, so he'll be fine. I'm sorry to bother you.
I tried to stop him, but William took off his shoes and proceeded down the hallway. His wife, Tyler, followed him silently. I followed them into the living room. They were already sitting on the sofa, Tyler with her legs crossed, playing with her phone. What in the world is going on? Tyler seems to be in a bad mood as usual today. I hope it's not something too deep. I did not have a good impression of my daughter-in-law, Tyler, from the beginning of their marriage. She is very beautiful and stylish in appearance. However, she was not at all sociable when she came to greet us on their marriage. Even my husband had a troubled look on his face. The relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law was not good, to say the least, for the reasons I just mentioned. I was driven by anxiety. Then, as if to drown out the atmosphere, William opened his mouth.
Mom, I'm going to make this very clear. Won't you move in with us?
What? Living together? I was taken aback by this proposal, which I had never imagined. William, perhaps sensing something in my expression, hurriedly began to explain.
I'm sorry, I know it's a bit of a surprise to hear I say that so suddenly, but I was thinking that you might be lonely if you were alone after my dad's death. I'm worried about you.
Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't lonely.
Right? Mom is getting old, and I think it would be safer for you to live with us. You would feel more secure with us around, right?
I know, but you have your own life, don't you? Tyler and Brandon, too. As if interrupting my words, William smiled broadly and said, "Don't worry, don't worry." He took my hand and continued talking happily.
Mom, Tyler agrees with me about moving in together.
Tyler, too.
To begin with, Tyler was the one who first proposed the idea of moving in together.
What? Tyler proposed living together. I'm not sure if it's because of the way she's been acting, but it seems like she doesn't like me at all. Or maybe she's just not very talkative. Various questions crossed my mind, but I was genuinely concerned about Tyler's feelings. I turned to her and asked fearfully, Tyler, William says this, but is it true that you suggested we live together?
Yes, it's true. I thought you might be lonely by yourself.
I see. Thank you.
I thought Brandon would be happy if we moved in with you. I don't have a very deep meaning, so please don't be so hard on yourself.
Although her tone of voice is refreshing, I get the sense that she has no malicious intent. From the flow of the conversation, it seems that it is true that she suggested that we live together. After that, my son and his wife repeatedly tried to persuade me that they were worried about me and wanted to move in with me as soon as possible. It is true that I was surprised at the sudden proposal, but I agreed to move in with them if they were willing to go that far. They then proceeded with the conversation, as they were told, and eventually decided to move in together next week. Once a date was set for the move, they dutifully left. Alone in my room, I resumed sorting through my husband's belongings. I was automatically lost in thought as I looked at photos of a family vacation we took many years ago. I had decided to move in with them on the spur of the moment, but I wondered if it was really a good idea. Tyler told me so, but I had always been alone with my husband, and now suddenly there were 3 more people in this house. But it's a happy thing to have a son and his wife living with us, isn't it? My choice was not wrong. I wanted to think so, but I half-heartedly told myself that I was not wrong. Despite my apprehension, I decided to change my mind about moving in together. 1 week later, on the day my son and his wife were moving in, I was in a flurry of activity from the morning. I had not been told when the movers' truck would arrive, and it arrived just as I was having lunch. I rushed to bring in their belongings, but William and his family never showed up. In the end, I had no choice but to carry in the luggage, with me giving all the instructions. Finally, a few hours later, my sons arrived. When I told William that I wished he had told me if they were going to be late, it was Tyler who spoke back to me before he did.
Well, with all due respect, unlike you, we are very busy. You are always at home and free, so please be a little more flexible.
But you had so much stuff, you know. It's very hard for me to give instructions to the movers by myself.
I've told you that we'll move in with you, but you complain about something as trivial as this? Mother-in-law, you have no idea how happy you are.
I didn't mean to.
Well, that's enough. We're tired anyway, so please prepare dinner for us.
She then lay down on the living room sofa and started playing a smartphone game. I was taken aback by how much she had changed from the quiet person she had been until then. Puzzled, I ran up to William and asked him in a quiet voice, "Hey, William. Tyler suggested that you move in with me, didn't she? She said she was worried about me being alone."
That's right. That's why we moved in early like this.
But now, you heard that, didn't you, William? She didn't sound very worried about me.
I don't care about that kind of thing. Anyway, you don't have to do anything else. Just listen to me and Tyler, and you're free to do whatever you want.
William. My son would not make eye contact with me at all. At that point, I began to feel somewhat uneasy. 2 weeks after we started living together, the anxiety I had been feeling had already become a reality. Conversations with William, who had told me he was worried about me, were minimal. I heard that Tyler had quit the short-time part-time job she had been working until then, taking the opportunity to move in with me. Just because she has become a housewife does not mean that she helps with the housework. She just lounged around the house every day, and she was not involved in even one load of laundry. Everything from shopping for meals to cooking to cleaning all the rooms was forced on me. When I asked William to help me, he would not pay any attention to Tyler, perhaps because he was worried that she would hate him. So I decided to speak up and tell Tyler myself. "Tyler, I'm sorry, but would you mind doing the housework properly, even if it's just your own stuff?"
What? Are you giving me an order, mother-in-law?
"I'm not giving you orders or anything. It's just that my current situation is too much work for me."
I don't know. Can't you just be grateful that I'm living with you? I'm telling you, you are happy, okay? Please be aware of that.
Tyler did not take my words seriously, but rather passed them off as if she was making fun of me. I was at a loss for words when she finally said,
Oh, yes. Brandon's birthday is coming up soon. So please make reservations at a nice restaurant, okay? Please don't go to that family restaurant or something like that.
Nah, I know you're not just trying to use me for your own convenience, Tyler.
What are you talking about? It's for Brandon's sake. You must be so happy to be able to celebrate your grandson's birthday.
But that doesn't mean.
Anyway, please do me a favor, okay? If you don't make a reservation, I'll tell Brandon that it's Grandma's fault.
Oh, no. She spits out a threatening line and grins. Then, looking down at me, she left the living room. What in the world? I knew she was lying when she said she wanted to live with me because she was worried about me. She just wants to take advantage of me. I can't believe she would use Brandon as a threat. In my heart, I feel rebellious toward her. But the reality is that I can't put my feelings first when it comes to my grandson. It was frustrating to do as she asked, but for the sake of my lovely grandson, I decided to make a reservation at a certain restaurant. The restaurant was one of the properties I had inherited from my father. At the time of signing the contract, the restaurant suggested that I, as the owner of the restaurant, was supposed to be a token owner. When I contacted the restaurant and told them what happened, they said they would keep the private room open for me. I wanted to spend a wonderful time with everyone, at least on the occasion of my lovely grandson's birthday. With this one thought in mind, I kept my mixed feelings toward Tyler in the back of my mind. 1 month later, it was the day of my grandson Brandon's birthday. My son and his wife, Brandon, and I went to the restaurant we had reserved. We were taken to a private room and given a menu. The prices listed on the menu made my son and his wife look at each other with a startled look in their eyes. They had never been to a restaurant like this before, and they began sneaking around complaining that the prices were too expensive and these prices are ridiculous. It is true that this restaurant is expensive in general, but the taste is worth it. However, this is not to say that the dishes are only for adults. There are many dishes that even children can enjoy. I am sure Brandon will be happy here. With this in mind, I called and made a reservation for a birthday cake in advance. Brandon was getting anxious, so I smiled and said to him, "Brandon, today is your birthday, so you can order whatever you like."
What? Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. They have hamburgers and gratin, which you like. You can choose whatever you like.
Yay! Thank you, Grandma.
His cloudless smile purifying my heart at once. But on the other hand, my son and his wife glared at me from beginning to end. When it came time to order, they both ordered the cheapest pasta. I asked them if that was all they wanted, but they nodded in disapproval. I wanted them to have a good meal, so I ordered a few of my own recommendations, including an appetizer salad, carpaccio, and a main meat dish. While I was ordering, they looked at me in disbelief. Perhaps they thought they had to pay. In fact, I was only asked by Tyler to make reservations at the restaurant. However, it is also true that I wanted everyone to enjoy the food at this restaurant. I had no intention of making my sons pay for it. I just wanted to spend a happy time eating delicious food, at least on my grandson's birthday. To begin with, when I used this restaurant, I do not pay the bill. I had decided to have the amount I spent on the meal deducted from my monthly rent and transferred to my account. They didn't have to worry about money. With this in mind, I waited for the dishes to arrive. In the meantime, my son and his wife were mostly silent, just whispering in their ear about something. Since I usually don't have time to talk to Brandon because Tyler interrupts me, I take this opportunity to enjoy my time with him. A few hours later, the dishes are over, and the cake is finally brought out. The cake is more magnificent than he had imagined, and Brandon exclaims happily, "Wow!" In contrast to my grandson, my son and his wife had a bitter look on their faces. I thought this would ruin the atmosphere of the birthday party, so I called the waiter and ordered an assortment of desserts for the adults. Then Tyler, who was listening to me, turned red and said,
Stop it. Stop ordering whatever you want. You're going to make us pay for it anyway, aren't you?
"What on earth are you talking about? I didn't mean to."
Shut up. I caught a glimpse of you earlier, but you didn't bring your usual wallet. I was so stupid to ask such an old lady. I never thought I'd book such a ridiculously expensive restaurant.
"Hey, Tyler, don't you think it's rude to talk like that to the restaurant? The bill is fine. Besides, even Brandon is so happy."
It's sickening to flirt with your grandchild. Old lady living on pension shouldn't get involved except at weddings and funerals.
At that time, I learned for the first time. I realized for the first time that I could feel such great anger inside me. I asked the waitress to let Brandon out of the private room. In front of my son and his wife, I said to them in a voice as cold as I could, "How dare you say such a thing? How can you say that to me? You moved in here so suddenly, you don't do your housework, you don't pay your bills, and now you tell me not to get involved. Stop kidding."
What? You're the one who makes reservations at such restaurants. You keep ordering more and more expensive dishes. You're just trying to get back at us, aren't you?
"Huh, don't you know this is my restaurant?"
Huh?
"This is one of the properties I inherited from my father. When I signed a contract, I was told that I would be the owner, even if it was just a formality. The chef said he was indebted to my father. As I explained everything, his face grew pale. By the time I had finished, he was shelled out. Tyler, on the other hand, opens her mouth loudly, perhaps relieved that she will not have to pay.
I see. I'm not going to pay for it, of course. It's mother-in-law's treat, right?
"Yes, that's right. Well, this is the last time."
What?
Tyler's expression hardened at my comment. I confronted her with the reality of the situation. "I don't want to live any longer with a couple like you. I don't want to take care of you anymore. I don't even want to breathe the same air. I was a fool to be fooled by your words. I'm worried about you. I want you to stay away from me forever."
Hey, wait a minute, mother-in-law. What are you talking?
"You don't deserve to call me mother-in-law. I'm grateful to you for giving birth to Brandon. But no more. I won't get involved with you guys, even at weddings and funerals. And no matter what happens, don't contact me. You are no longer my son or daughter." In front of me, my son and his wife, are teary-eyed. I breathe on my shoulder and quickly pack up my belongings. As I left, Brandon asked me with a vacant expression, "Are you leaving, Grandma?" "I'm sorry, Brandon. I may not see you again, but take care."
What? I don't want to miss you, Grandma.
"Thank you. I'll keep praying for you to be happy." I patted Brandon's head with a sad look on his face and left the restaurant. I didn't turn around at all because I was afraid that if I saw his face one more time, it would shake my resolve. Later, after leaving the restaurant, I called my second son James on the phone and explained the situation. James was very angry with William and recommended that I end our cohabitation immediately. When I arrived home, I packed the bare minimum of my belongings and headed to James and his wife's house. At their suggestion, I was to be awkwardly accommodated until I rented a new room. A few days later, I decided to sell my house. I was sad to give up the house where I had spent many memorable years with my husband, but I did not want to leave William and his wife free any longer. The house soon found a buyer, and they had to be evicted immediately. My son and his wife's lives changed drastically when I, who had been covering their living expenses, disappeared. They managed to move into an apartment, but it seems that the couple is constantly fighting over money. They contacted James for assistance, but he already knew what was going on and blocked William's phone number. My only regret is for Brandon, but I guess it is a result commensurate with my son and daughter-in-law. I, on the other hand, am enjoying a relaxed, solitary life in my newly rented apartment. James and his wife visit me regularly, so I don't feel lonely. As long as I am free to do I would like to lead a carefree life on my own.